Hey, Wise. So today is an unexpected day. It's a video that nobody thought I was gonna make. It's been 8 months since I said I'm gonna talk about this specific topic in a video, and I finally got to it. I'm here, I'm in my right mind, and now I'm ready to talk about Deku's dad. If you're wondering why it took me so long to make this video, honestly, it's just because I just did not have the setup to make the video. I was thinking of many ways to have setup videos to make this video make more sense, but I just decided that I might as well just make the video now because it's been 8 months and I've been wasting y'all time, and I know people are really wondering what I'm thinking about this specific topic. So I don't want to waste any time. As you can see from the title and the thumbnail, and just because I just said it a few seconds ago, today we're going to be talking about Deku's father, the mystery of Deku's father, where he is, what he actually does, and what actually is he. I just said that like 3 different ways, but it's okay. Now, just as a disclaimer, no, I do not think that All For One is Deku's father. And I think that's actually a great point to start off with in explaining why I don't believe that Deku's father is All For One. Because out of anything, that theory is the most accepted in the community of My Hero Academia. And while I do think that there is a possibility that that theory could be true, because being that it's the theory, we don't know until we know, I just don't believe that based on what we have seen in the story of My Hero Academia, it would make sense for Deku's father to be All For One out of the blue. So before we get into who I think Deku's father is and what he's actually doing, let me explain and try to debunk in some ways why All For One is not Deku's father, or why if All For One is Deku's father, it makes no sense to the story of My Hero Academia. So I'm not gonna go too in depth on the theory of why All For One is Deku's father. I'll just leave a card to Vocal Pineapple's video. He made a video on this specifically. It was a solid video, so check that video out if you want to learn more about why people think All For One is Deku's father. But to explain it in a general sense, Horikoshi is a huge Star Wars fan, and over the course of the story of My Hero Academia, there has been so many different references to the Star Wars series as a whole. And one of the most prevalent Star Wars references in the story of My Hero Academia is the Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader situation. And it's not just because All For One has the Darth Vader mask or anything, but there are a lot of parallels from Luke Skywalker and Deku. Being that Deku is the Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan is the All Might, and Yoda is the Gran Torino. Now the simple idea is that Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan, who is the master of Luke, and when Luke confronts Darth Vader, he loses an arm, and Darth Vader tells him that he is his father. And obviously you can put the parallels into the story of My Hero Academia, where people assume that All For One is going to be the Darth Vader, Obi-Wan obviously is All Might, and Deku is Luke Skywalker. Now interestingly enough, in this war arc, as we know, Deku was already hinted at as losing one of his arms. So in all reality, this theory should make sense, right? Well, not really, because one thing that I think will stray away from the story of Star Wars is that All For One is not going to be the person that kills All Might. And obviously that'll put a huge blunder in this entire parallel of Star Wars and My Hero Academia. Since the beginning of the story of My Hero Academia, Shigaraki is the person who is said and hinted at to be the one who is going to end the life of All Might. And I know the first thing many people are going to say is, well, isn't All For One inside of Shigaraki and trying to take over his body? And the answer to that is obviously a yes, but as we know, the relationship between Shigaraki and All For One is very touchy right now, and Shigaraki more likely than not will actually kill All For One. And it's probably going to happen way sooner than we think, but I'm not going to go into that theory in and of itself. And the hint of that is actually when Shigaraki and All For One was inside of the void of One For All, Shigaraki was quite literally trying to decay All For One while he was decaying the world of One For All. Because All For One already knows that Shigaraki hates him and is more likely going to try to kill him as well. Now with me saying that, of course the thought and idea would be that, well, what if All For One just goes and kills All Might right now while he's in Shigaraki's body, and then he can tell Deku that he's his father, etc, etc. And I completely understand that, although it still is possible, this is when it doesn't make sense to the story of My Hero Academia. Because as we know, All For One had a chance to try to kill All Might and he didn't do it. In the war in Kamino, where All For One faced off against All Might, All For One literally was saying that his goal was to try to kill All Might. And if you remember anything in that battle, which I know you did, there was a crazy reveal that we didn't even consider. Shigaraki is the grandson of Nana Shimura, who was the master of All Might. And we saw the despair inside of the eyes of All Might when All For One told All Might that. And you should already know where I'm going with this. If All For One was Deku's father, why did All For One not tell All Might at that point in time that he is the father of Deku? Because that would do even more psychological damage to All Might, considering the reveal that 𝙗𝚗𝚙𝚢𝚑𝚝's grandson is a successor of All For One, and the son of All For One is a successor of All Might. That would have been the best opportunity for All For One to tell All Might that Deku is his son and actually kill him. And that would obviously connect to the Darth Vader killing Obi-Wan situation that a lot of people are thinking is going to happen. And for anybody who would think, well, maybe All For One didn't know Deku was the successor of All Might at the time, he literally mentioned of Deku being the successor of All Might while he was in Tartarus and saying that it's now Shigaraki's turn to finish what All For One has started. And I'm not even going into detail why it wouldn't even make sense if he actually had a son. Why wouldn't he raise his son up also to be a part of evil like he did with Shigaraki? Like, he quite literally trained up Shigaraki to be his successor, even though he already had a son who could be his successor. Again, the theory that All For One is Deku's father could be true, and I could be completely wrong. But it wouldn't make sense of the story of My Hero Academia if All For One is his father. By the way, so I can plug my previous video that I did 8 months that connects to this video, I believe that the Darth Vader in this situation is Shigaraki, and there will be a reveal, but it'll be a reveal that Shigaraki is actually the cousin of Deku, instead of All For One being the father of Deku. And if you want to know why I think that, check out my video here that talks about why Inko Midoriya is 𝙗𝚗𝚙𝚢𝚑𝚝's daughter. I think it's an interesting theory, and I use a lot of math to make sure the timeline matches up with a lot of things, so definitely check that video out because it's really interesting. So now on to the most important part. If All For One is not the father of Deku, which he could be, but I don't think he is, then who the freak is Deku's father? Well, that's actually a pretty simple answer. �値 Midoriya. Man, I almost hit you with this book. No, but in all seriousness, �値 Midoriya is actually a very important character in the story of My Hero Academia, and Horikoshi even said at a convention once that �値 Midoriya will make his reveal eventually in the story. So this is a very important topic, because if Horikoshi is making sure to say that yes, �値 Midoriya is going to be coming back in the story of My Hero Academia, then he must be a very important character to the story of My Hero Academia. Now, to be very straightforward with you all as to who �値 Midoriya is and what he actually does, I think �値 Midoriya is a scientist, and not just any scientist, a scientist that specializes in quirk research. And I 100% believe that his studies are done in America, which is the reason why he is abroad and he's been gone for so long. And I also believe that he will be the person that connects us more with what quirks actually are, which will ultimately help the student heroes and the heroes in the story of My Hero Academia and the future of the story of My Hero Academia. Now, there are a few reasons as to why I believe that this is the case. The first thing I'm going to break down really quickly is why I believe that �値Midoriya is in America. The reason why �値 Midoriya is more likely in America is because in the story of My Hero Academia, there has only been one abroad place that we have talked about in the story of My Hero Academia, and that's obviously America. I don't want to hear nobody in the comment section saying, well, he might be in Australia. No, he's not. He's in America. Now, as to why I believe he is a scientist connects to All Might in more than one way. A lot of people really don't consider the fact that All Might and Deku's lives are pretty much a parallel to each other. Both of them met their masters in middle school with hopes of becoming the greatest hero. Obviously, Deku wanted to be like All Might, who was the greatest hero and the symbol of peace, but this is Deku's story, and we know that this is the story of how Deku became the greatest hero, aka the symbol of peace. They were both trained by their master, who will both die by the power of All For One, because obviously Shigaraki is going to kill All Might, and then All For One actually killed 𝙗𝚗𝚙𝚢𝚑𝚝. And although it's not 100% confirmed, it's pretty clear that America is going to be a huge destination for the story of My Hero Academia and Deku in the future. And this is kind of where I get the scientist aspect of �値 Midoriya. If �値 Midoriya is going to be an important character to the story of My Hero Academia and not just be like the father of Deku, he has to have some type of important skill or knowledge or something in the story of My Hero Academia. And just like All Might's past, which if you want to learn more about that, I actually made a video yesterday about that, so definitely check that video out. It should be right here. When he first got to America, he ended up saving a group of scientists, one being David Shield, and they grew to have a brotherly relationship with each other. And obviously for Deku's situation, it'll be different because yes, his father is abroad and already in America, or maybe he comes to visit home or something like that, but it wouldn't be a brotherly relationship between his father because that'll be a father-son relationship. And it'll be huge for Deku to continue the parallels with All Might in that he goes to America and meets a scientist that will help him on his journey of becoming a great hero. But even more than that, about a few weeks ago, I made a video talking about the most dangerous character in the story of My Hero Academia. And in that video, I talked about why Dr. Garaki is the most important character in the story of My Hero Academia, and it's based off of the scientific knowledge that he has about quirks. And obviously, Dr. Garaki is using the knowledge of being able to create artificial humans and putting multiple quirks inside of them to create nomus. He's using all of that knowledge for the sake of evil. But just like I said at the end of that video, Dr. Garaki cannot be the only person in the entire world of My Hero Academia that knows about this information. There has to be many more people in the world that are just as smart as a scientist as Dr. Garaki and his knowledge on quirks. And what better country to work in to learn and study these different things about quirks than America itself? And who better of a person that knows a lot about quirks that can give the heroes a lot of help when it comes to the future of My Hero Academia than the father of Deku? Especially when considering that when All For One was inside of the void of One For All, he specifically said that Dr. Garaki was the one who came up with the conclusion of quirks actually having consciousness. And that is the reason why consciousness are stored inside of the All For One and One For All quirk. So All For One didn't know and needed help from an external scientist to learn about what All For One and One For All is. And the same thing is going to happen to Deku when it comes to him learning more information about quirks, where they came from, and what the freak is One For All. Because we already know what's more than likely going to happen is the truth of One For All is going to be leaked out to a lot more people than we think. And 𝚲𝚙𝚎𝚑𝚝 Midoriya, being a scientist that works abroad in America, could be the person that helps Deku the most, especially because Horikoshi said that he's going to be an important character in the story of My Hero Academia. And Horikoshi also said to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe if you like this video. But I love you all, and until next time, make sure you stand up and win your zone every single day.